The track meet is over. Georgia survives thanks again to second half adjustments. They beat Ole Miss 43-35. Welcome into Crain Company. One of the many live reactions that we've had today. Again, we're almost to 200,000. If you're not subbed, grow up, become a better person, right? That's what we're working toward here. Everybody together. David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback. Blaine Crain, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver. Guys, to be honest with you, I don't even know where to begin. I know we try and keep these things to 10 to 15 minutes, but we could go 45 minutes on this. You know, we can sit here and talk about the Georgia adjustments in the second half, shutting Ole Miss out in the fourth quarter. That was fantastic. But I think the biggest compliment I can give Kirby Smart and his staff and the Georgia players is they just find ways to win games. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a low-scoring rock fight. Doesn't matter if it's a high-scoring track meet. At the end of the day, outside of the Bama game, and we know how good Bama's playing right now, we're going to see them not against Tennessee. Blaine, I'll start with you. If you're the Ole Miss offense, I don't know what else you could have done to be. You're not going to be perfect the whole game. I have never in my life, in an SEC game, in a big SEC game, see both the offenses not punt for that long and score that many times.
It's awesome. I mean, we come from an offensive guy. Look, I love to see points on the board, but I will say this, and I think overrated gets used too much, or bad, or doesn't belong. The one team I was worried about, really in the top five, and we said it all week, was Ole Miss. And I don't think fraudulent's the correct word, but I didn't believe in this defense that much. And I know you go out there through the year and what they did to LSU. I think there's more problems on LSU's offense than there was Ole Miss defense. But it goes back to what you said, Jake, and we've been saying it's culture. Kirby Smart's instilled a culture at Georgia to where no matter if it's 10-7 or 45-36, they find ways to win. And that's why always when we wake up in December, Georgia's sitting right there.
Well, and again, and we're not always right, but we sat here after the LSU Ole Miss game and after watching Ole Miss and asked, why will nobody just consistently run the ball against them? Mm-hmm. Like what LSU did in the second half against Ole Miss offensively was from a play calling standpoint, was borderline malpractice. And Georgia ran it 49 times. And I'll say this, early in the game, I know they ended up scoring on that 3rd and 8 in the red zone. Why you try and attempt to run a halfback pass there is nuts to me when you're gashing them. Let me just go through Georgia's rushing stats real quick, individually, Cone. Nate Frazier, 17 carries, 72 yards. Chauncey Bowens, 10 carries, 61 yards. Gunnar Stockton, 10 carries, 59 yards. Dylan Bell, 2 carries, 19 yards. Josh McCray, 5 carries, 13 yards. You had 5 different guys hit double digits in rushing, and you really saw it, I think, come to fruition in the second half. I mean, Gunnar Stockton, listen, we got to start saying the word Heisman with Gunnar Stockton. You can say what you want. 26-31, 289 and 4 touchdowns. You give them 10 with 59 on the ground and a touchdown. You're responsible for 5 touchdowns, basically individually. We're going to get to Ole Miss on offense and what this Ole Miss team can do going forward. But David, at the end of the day, this dude just gets it done. Like, sometimes it's not sexy. It's not pretty. He loves to throw the fastball. But damn it, when you're striking guys out and shutting people down, it doesn't matter how it looks.
I mean, what else do you need to say about Kirby Smart other than he's the best coach in college football, and particularly the best second half coach? I mean, this defense is getting gashed for 3.5 quarters. When's the last time you can remember saying that about a Kirby Smart defense? Can't get off the field, didn't force a punt until the fourth quarter, losing yet again at halftime, and he finds ways to win. Another 220-yard rushing performance, like you said, with Gunnar Stockton going 26 of 30. 4 touchdowns, 0 INTs. Also, we got to talk about Mike Bobo. Great game plan, particularly in the red zone. I love the screen and go in the red zone from Mike Bobo. I know that, Georgia fans are on the fence a lot of times about the way Mike Bobo calls offense, and it was Todd Monken who won the national championships there. I thought it was a great game plan. Georgia finds a way yet again. Now, for the Ole Miss side, Blaine, I know you've been critical of Ole Miss and the way that, we've ranked them and said that they're probably the most overrated team. team. I don't know if they're good enough on defense. This performance shows, right? I don't know if they're good enough on defense to make the college football playoff, but I actually have more respect for the team after this performance, just with the way that they were playing on offense. When you look at the schedule, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Citadel, Florida, and Mississippi State, there is a path there to still make the college football playoff.
Yeah.
I do not think that this team should panic whatsoever with the way that they are able to score points on offense.
No, and I'm telling you, the more I watch Ole Miss, the more I see 2023 LSU. That's just what I see. Now, I'm not saying Trinidad Chambliss is Jaden Daniels, because he's not. But
just in terms of how lopsided they are,
oh
and
my God, I mean,
imbalanced,
it's obvious.
But don't you think that Lane Kiffin? Don't you think that Lane Kiffin, to me, is as focused on winning as I've ever seen him as a head coach? Lane Kiffin is following the Bryson DeChambeau character arc right now. He's gone from villain to hero by being more likable and focused on the games. To me,
well, and listen, a lot of people, and I think, again, not saying you're wrong, but I don't think you're going through the order of operations right. We'll talk about Georgia's lack of defense in this game and what we're used to seeing from Georgia. Yeah. And I get it. I know the standard there. We know who Kirby is at his core. To your Mike Bobo comment, I think, if you're a Georgia fan, you're complaining about the wrong coordinator. That's what I think. Now, we can sit here and say that, well, Kirby Smart is really the defensive coordinator, and I get that. But I don't want that to take away from how good Ole Miss played on offense. And it wasn't just like Trinidad Chambliss was running around making insane plays and the scramble drill that you can't prepare for. This was as good of a game plan as you can possibly have on offense. And 90% of the time, you put that offensive effort out on the field, Blaine, you're going to win in this conference. I just want to, and I know it wasn't unbelievably efficient through the air from Trinidad Chambliss. I mean, he was 19 to 36, right? 263 and a touchdown. He gave you 42 yards on 9 carries and 2 touchdowns. Lacey was obviously good when they got inside the 10. He only had 31 yards. He ended up with 2 touchdowns. They only had 88 yards rushing. But I was so impressed by Trinidad Chambliss's decision-making through the air and the ability of these Ole Miss receivers to make big-time plays, not only big-time catches, but the run after the catch. And you could tell the tight end was a big focus in this game for Ole Miss with the way they were dispersing it out. I'm just almost in awe of how efficient Ole Miss was, especially in the first 2.5 quarters on offense. They can score against that. You can say what you want.
But that's always, doesn't it feel like that's always a Lane Kiffin coach? I mean, other than that 1 year.
Not last year. Not last year.
1 year at Ole Miss. That 1 year, that odd-off year where Ole Miss, wow, their defense was actually legit. Other than that, I say this going into every Ole Miss game. Like, I'll never worry about the offense and the quarterback play. I'll never worry about
Yeah.
You could bring out the third string, the fourth string. He's probably going to end up being pretty good. It's just they can never put a defense out there that's good enough. It feels like a Lane Kiffin. It's never a complete team. And this year with that schedule, you can outscore your way to the playoffs, right? But you can't win a national championship living like this. You just can't.
Well, and look, if Ole Miss has to go on let's say they make the college football playoff, and look, they could host a game. I'm not saying they couldn't, but if they've got to go on the road in December when the playoff starts and when it's cold to a team like Indiana or somebody like that, as good as they are in offense, I don't know if you can survive that. I really don't. But again, this Ole Miss team found a way coming off a piss poor performance against Washington State. I mean, we talked about it, and it goes back to I know again I'm giving Ole Miss compliments, but David, this goes back to, man, it's amazing how Lane Kiffin's teams look against elite competition compared to when they've got to go out there and just play well against an inferior opponent. I still think that problem's still there. That's why I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, yeah, they're definitely going to be in the playoff with the rest of that schedule. They can lose another game and this and the other. I don't know if they're going to show up when they play the Citadel.
No, that's a great point. That's a fair point. You can never pencil in a W for Lane Kiffin coach teams. I understand that. But all I'm saying is every one of these games is winnable, especially in a year in college football where I don't think you can pencil in a W for nearly anybody. I was really impressed with Trinidad Chambliss taking what the defense gave him, and this isn't just any defense, right? Anytime you're going up against Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs, and we use that phrase, taking what the defense gives you, a lot, but it's harder said than done, right? To analyze correctly what the defense is giving you and to exploit it for 60 straight minutes. Yeah. Even though I will say Georgia's defense did bow up there in the last half quarter for sure.
When it matters, David, it's amazing. When it matters, most, they show up.
But that gets to my next question, which is Georgia on defense moving forward. I don't think Ole Miss can win a national championship. I do think there is a path to make the college football playoff, which is something that Lane Kiffin hasn't done. So even that would be quite an accomplishment in Oxford. But the other side of that, Georgia, their path to winning a national championship, are they good enough on the defensive side of the ball to accomplish that?
I think that's what's going to be heavily debated in the inner circles in Georgia, where we know the standard is national championship, or it really didn't matter that much. Mm-hmm. I do know this: when you're comparing Ole Miss and Georgia's defense, and neither one was good today, I do think Georgia has the personnel to at least be good enough to keep themselves in games against. I mean, look, we saw the Tennessee game. This isn't anything new for the Georgia defense. They gave up 41 against Tennessee. I mean, let's be honest. Tennessee missed a field goal to beat them. They made Auburn, who's basically like a blind kid in a minefield on offense. They look good for a half. I'm wondering, like, if you're Georgia and you're Glenn Schumann and you're Kirby Smart, how much do you change? You're obviously going to have to change some things. Is it more pressure? Because they can't get there with a four-man rush. That's the difference in the Georgia defense.
About a Georgia Kirby Smart coach football team.
And then what did that lead to in the second half? 11 up dog, looking like zero coverage, and all Ole Miss does is hit a simple 5-yard hitch and scores a touchdown on the second play. That's where you get exposed.
No. And again, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if there's any great answers other than you've recruited at such a high level for so long. You feel like the personnel at a place like Georgia could figure it out. But kind of wrapping up here again, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're locked in. We got more reactions coming. We did a Washington, Michigan one already. We did a Vanderbilt with their win over LSU. Really broke that one down. But if you're Georgia, and I understand you want to beat Georgia Tech. I get that. We all know that. That's water under the bridge. But it truly is, in my opinion, and look, Charlotte's going to show up and play, but they're not going to beat Georgia. I just watched Temple pull their pants down in Walmart and spank their ass in front of everybody. It's a 3-game season. You've got Florida at home, you've got at Mississippi State, and you've got Texas at home. If you go 3-0, you're playing in the SEC championship game now that you won this. And you're probably playing against Alabama again, which means at worst, you're in the college football playoff. So you look at Florida, they may not have a coach come this time next week. We'll see. I know they're up on Mississippi State now, but we've heard all the rumors. At Mississippi State, it isn't as bad as it used to be, but you feel like Georgia should win that game. And then you get a Texas team that's very talented at home. It's a 3-game season for me, Blaine, for Georgia.
Yeah, it's just funny how we get up here, we do our preseason wins and losses, each team, season record. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. Then we look up, and the regular season's over, and Georgia and Alabama are playing.
Well, I mean, I had Alabama and Georgia in the SEC championship, so it's tracking right along for the kids.
Look, they're all winnable games. You're going to be favored in every single game for the rest of your season. But trust me, we're in the year of college football where down is up is down. When it's sunny, it's actually raining. You can walk into any Saturday and lose to any team. So it's a good thing if you're a Georgia fan, you have a Kirby Smart as your coach, because he's going to have those guys ready week in and week out.
Yeah, and before we go, David, I think battle-tested is a real thing. Not only battle-tested when you're playing your type of ball, but battle-tested in multiple games. We talk about this in college basketball all the time. The teams advance the furthest in the tournament can win games in the most ways. And name me a team that has won games in more ways than Georgia right now.
Yeah, and if you're Kirby Smart, I'm sure you'd like to have a little bit less adversity, but I think it'll serve them well later in the season. Last thing I'll say, Lawson Lucky, 5 catches, 3 of them touchdowns. You guys ever have a day like that before?
No, only on NCAA on the video game. Had a couple of those days. But again, it's a new guy every week, man. It's a new guy every week, and I think that's a strength of Georgia, even though they're not perfect. But you're in a year where nobody is even close to perfect. I'm watching Texas Tech lose. I'm watching Memphis about to lose to UAB.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at this point, it's truly survive and advance, which makes it so much more delicious for all of us able to watch it. And again, we appreciate you. Remember, without you, there is no us. Make sure you're locked in, lock the gates. We got more tonight. And I think the coaching search may take a big change on Sunday as well for a couple guys, or definitely one. We'll see how that works out. We appreciate you. We'll see you soon.